Man, I got the muscle on my podcast. Like, I feel extremely fortunate. So, Keaton, so this is Wholesale with Joe. So this podcast is dedicated to helping young entrepreneurs get into real estate investing and wholesaling. And I wanted to have you on because who better to have than my mentor, my coach, and somebody who's actually done real estate. So I'm really excited to dive in with you.
Why is it called real? What do you call it? Real
Wholesale with Joe.
Wholesale with Joe. Why is
Wholesale
it called
with
that?
Joe. So Joe Homebuyer is the franchise that I own.
Okay.
So I'm a franchisee. So Joe Homebuyer, there's over 75 franchisees throughout the whole country.
Yeah.
So I started Wholesale with Joe because there's a lot of people out there that are trying to get into the wholesaling real estate journey and business. And I want to be able to give them the content and the tools that they need to jumpstart their real estate journey, and then to partner with us at Joe Homebuyer with our franchisees throughout the whole country. So I want to be able to be a tool and a conduit to say, hey, you got a deal, bring it to me, and we'll help you find buyers and where you can make tens of thousands of dollars like I have in my business.
So the podcast is based around pretty much helping, educating, informing listeners for real estate stuff.
Yeah, and where I'm separating myself from everybody else in this industry is that all the content that I'm going to provide is absolutely free.
Love that.
I feel like there is value in paid mentorship. Obviously,
sure.
I pay you a lot of money to do it, and typically when you invest into something, that's where you're going to get your return. But where I want to focus on is, hey, look, I'm going to give you the content you need, but I want you to bring me your real estate deals wherever you're at in the country,
Really smart.
and let's partner on those deals.
Yeah.
So the upside is going to be much bigger than saying, hey, here, pay me $100 and I'll get on a call with you.
Which is kind of something that Pace Morby and his mentor did.
Absolutely.
Now it's different, because dude, one day you're going to blow up, you're going to be huge. And your time will be really valuable, and tons of people are going to come to you, whereas once you said it was free, and you're going to be like, I have to pick and choose. And the way I am going to pick and choose is by those who are willing to pay me for my time. So it will change, but it's cool to start out this way because this is that step to that.
Absolutely.
You know?
I was telling Connor, my social media manager, about that. It was saying, I'm like, look, Pace, he gets sent hundreds of deals a week. And he just can say, I want that one, I want that one, I don't want that one. And he's built hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate empire just within the last 3 to 4 years from using his influence. And so that was one of the big reasons why I wanted to have you on this podcast, because you've built an empire through your influence.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, like I said, you've built one of the fastest, if not the biggest coaching program in the country now. And what would you attribute that to?
So, well, and I'll kind of correct you. So it's definitely not the biggest coaching program, but it is the fastest growing. Over the last year, it's just been over a year. We've had thousands and thousands of people sign up. I would attribute it to two things. Number one is because I do have a social media presence and an influence. And it's really funny. People always talk about influencers, right? Like, quote unquote, I'm an influencer. And I don't think that people realize what that word actually means. To influence somebody is to change their train of thought in some way or another to create them to do something in an actionable manner. Yep. Right? Absolutely. So you can't just say, well, I influenced you. Well, what did you influence me to do? No, I don't know. I felt good. Well, that's not a real thing. Yeah. If I influence you to do something, to take action, then I'm actually an influencer. So the reason I say that is because I don't even know if I would consider myself an influencer, quote unquote, through social media. But those who I get, like yourself, to have interaction with, I do have great influence. And it's merely from my own actions and my own life that I show. And most people are like, well, I want that. And if he can show me how to have that, I'm going to follow him and achieve it. But I would say this for your question. I have, 6 million followers on social media right now. And I was able to go to them and say, listen, I have a goal. And my goal is that I want to change the world and I want to help people. Right?
Yep.
And through that, people tied to that tag, and they should, that I genuinely want to help people, like change their lives. And that means a lot. Most people think that means like, well, he's going to help me make more money. And that is some of it. But I went to the masses and said, I want to help you become better at everything. I want to help you become a better version of yourself. So we did. And I started Limitless Society, which has, in fact, done that. It helps people become a better version of themselves. And in doing that, and this is the second piece, I have shown through testimonies of others, even yourself. In fact, I have a video of you in your own testimony of how this has helped you. You have to be able to actually create results. It's like the people that do the fly-by-night snake oil, right? They come into town, they show you this thing, they draw this crowd, they tell them this is going to be the greatest thing ever, and then before they're done selling their last product, they're out of town and they're gone and the shit doesn't work.
Yeah.
That doesn't work for what I'm doing. So I had to bring to market an actual product that would show you that I could change you, and then let the masses speak for themselves and tell people like, no, I actually listen to what Keaton teaches and it has changed me. It changed me to my very core. So that's the other piece is like, I have a big influence. I am a quote unquote influencer. And then I brought to market in Limitless Society a program or a product, whatever you want to call it, that actually gets people to change and change their life and grow and become the greatest version of themselves. So now I have thousands of people every single day that are saying, well, I worked with Keaton and it has changed my life and it has made me more money and it has made me more confident and it has helped me lose my weaknesses and strengthen my strengths and do all of those things. So those are the two things I would say when someone asks me, how did you do it or how do you do it? One, you have to have influence, and two, you have to have something that actually works. I guess I could have came into town and said, for $1 million, let me show you how to make $1 million. I could have sold it to 15 people and walked away and never dealt with them again, and then it wouldn't have done shit. But instead, what I do, and this is what I stick by, is I say to people, listen, it's a tiny little investment. An investment, you can stop making at any time. If this doesn't help you, you can stop. In fact, I'm so confident in what I do that if it doesn't help you and you really put in the time, I'll give you your money back because I'm not here to take your money. Yep. I'm here to take your investment and help you understand that in that investment, you'll be able to grow and make more money, be a better father, be a better husband, be a better wife, mother, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
So that's what we do, and it's been insane.
Well, guys, it's $297 a month.
Yeah. It's not. If you can't, I had somebody text me today. He was like, if he said, this has changed my life, and I thought about how hard this investment is each month. He's like, but if I can't invest $300 myself, how am I going to be a millionaire?
Yeah.
And I said, I agree with you, man.
Yeah. And look, and I do the one-on-one mentorship, and it's not cheap, but the thing is, it's like, okay, if I don't invest this money, how am I going to scale? How am I going to grow? And so are you telling me that it's not just about making money, it's about improving the best version of yourself, which then will lead to better relationships, better financial success, better business, all those things? Is that?
Dude, 100%. Even the 3 people that are here, or the 4 people that are in this room, the greatest version of each one of us is filthy rich, has crazy beautiful relationships, is a great father, a great husband, finds success, happiness, and peace in everything, and has 100% created the exact life that they seek to have, right? So forget me saying that I can help you become rich, or I can help you do this, or I can help you do this. What if all I ever do is convince you of your own capability and then show you how to become something so much greater than you currently are, and then I just go do whatever you want to do? Because that version of you is going to kill everything that they set out to do. And then they're going to look back and be like, holy shit, dude, this is the life I always wanted. Thanks, Keaton, for helping me create me, the person I should have been, the person I deserve to be. Yep. And that's all we do. That's all we do in Limitless Society.
Well, you've spent a lot of time with people that are masters in their fields of industry. Like you know a lot of real estate guys that I've followed for a long time, Ryan Pineda, Pace Morby, Chris Crone, Jimmy Rex, and then you have great relationships with guys like Ed Milet, who built an insurance business, and Andy Frizella, and is a supplement guy, just like you started off in your business. Like, what would you say is the common theme between all those individuals and yourself that has allowed all of you to make millions of dollars and be the best version of yourself?
This is a really good question, and this is what I want to speak on at my event.
Cool.
And I don't know how many people watch this or will listen to your podcast, maybe 100, maybe 100 million, I don't know. Yeah. But for those of you who are listening or who will watch this, I do have a really cool event in September. But what I want to speak on is that question. Okay. Like what is that? And I'm just going to dive in just a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't want to give
Please.
the whole, the speech of it.
Absolutely.
I think 2 things. I think you must dream. Most people gave up on dreaming a long time ago, and they've replaced dreaming with daydreaming. Yeah. And almost everybody spends about 50% of their day daydreaming, which is kind of shitty. Like instead of being present in this moment, you're thinking about what you could have, what you should have, where you would be, daydreaming. Mm-hmm. So number one is real dreaming, like actual dreaming. And I don't think it's that hard to convince people to dream. I just don't, because dreaming is wishing, right? Like I want something better. I want something greater. I want to dream. You know, even when we first met, dude, you had huge dreams. And ever since we've met, you have slowly begun to accomplish your dreams, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. So number one is to convince you stop daydreaming and start dreaming.
Yes.
Again, which, you know, even if you go back to your like youngest version of yourself when you're 5, like what were your dreams, dude? You had these crazy dreams. I want to be an astronaut. I want to live on the moon. I want to have the biggest boat and the coolest house. All these cool things, right? So we all have it in us. So number one, I would say it's time to stop daydreaming and start actually dreaming. And then number 2, and this is the big one. This is the really big one. You must have a vision and execution of a vision. That's it. Those 2 things are what it takes to become something extraordinary, something better than most. Most people daydream. We get them to dream. Once they dream, we help them find a vision that they execute on. If you can convince someone to begin to dream again and then help them find their vision to get to their dream and execute on that vision, they're unstoppable. 100% unstoppable. And that's actually what I want to teach both at the event and a lot from here on out is it will come down to your vision and your execution of the vision. For example, I did this exercise the other day with a mentor that I paid actually to help me speak. Mm-hmm. He said, find an object in the room, right? And then he said, I want you to touch that object. And it was the glass outside here. So we were in my my living room. Yep. And he said, okay, I want you to go touch that glass. So I walked over and I touched the glass. And then he said, okay, come back, same spot. And then he said, I want you to do it again. And while I walked to the glass, he threw a chair in my way, put it right in my path, right?
Yeah.
And what did I do? I moved the chair and I walked to the glass and I touched the glass. And he said, why did you do that? And I said, because I knew I was going to get to the glass. He said, you know, it's funny. Most people, when I throw this chair in front of them, they stop. They don't know what to do. And most people in their lives, when they have a vision of what they want, something comes in their path and they lose their vision completely and they stop executing on their vision.
Yep.
So then I go back to this saying, like, you got to dream, and once you dream, you know that you want to touch the glass. Your vision is that you are going from here to there to touch the glass, and then you must execute that vision. But when things come, and they always do, what happens? You lose your vision, you lose your execution, and then your dream goes by the wayside. So what do? You stay in place with the chair in your way, and you daydream about one day touching the glass. So for me, and for people who ask that question, like, how do I get to where I want to be? You have to do those things. And then you have to execute like a fucking savage. And most people don't understand. They don't understand what that means. Yeah. If he would have put that chair in my way and 15 other chairs, I would have kicked the shit out of every chair to go touch the glass, because in my mind, my vision and execution was not deterred by what was put in my path. And most people, they get deterred like that, and then they find an excuse. The chair's in my way. I can't get to the glass.
It's so interesting you bring that up, because I feel like, and Ryan Flint, which I know he's a friend of yours, like he's a successful real estate guy in the area, and he talks about, he's like, I have a really hard time with this generation, because you know what? They're great at dreaming, but they don't put in the work. They don't execute.
Yeah.
And man, I feel like I fall into that camp at times. Like I'm good at dreaming, or I'll get good at one. I'll be a really good dreamer, but be lax on my work and my effort. And then vice versa. I'll be busting my ass. I'm like, well, I'm never going to get here. And so it's interesting. Ed Milet had a quote. I listened to a podcast of his this morning, and he said, thoughts are the currency in which you purchase your dreams. And you really harp on that a lot. Yeah. You talk about your thoughts. Like we had a conversation a few weeks ago. I said, Devin, you have the mindset, or you have the ability of $100 million man, but you're thinking with $100,000 mindset, mm-hmm. because that's where you are.
Yeah.
Like you're capable of being that $100 million man. You have a lot of attributes of a $100 million man, but you're living a $100,000 mindset and lifestyle. So that really hit me hard, and just made me realize, like, I have to live like I'm a $100 million man now, or else I'm never going to be that man.
100%, dude. You have to believe that you're going to touch the glass. You know, if I give you an object and you say that you want to have that or touch that object, you have to believe that you're really going to touch it. But if in your mind you know that you're going to stop when it's time to stop, when the chair gets thrown in your path, you never actually fully accomplish that which you've set out to accomplish. And that's what most people do. You know what the sad reality is? The sad reality is that every single one of us had dreams. Mm-hmm. And then something was thrown in our way to deter us, an obstacle. And we stopped. And in stopping, we sufficed ourselves with just beginning to daydream again, rather than following through with that which we set out to do. And that's the hardest part of what I do, is I watch people every single day that are stuck daydreaming because they gave up on their dreams because some obstacle was put in their way and it stopped them completely. And instead of dealing with it and moving forward as an obstacle, it stopped them, and then they just went into daydreaming. And that's why the rest of their day and the rest of their life is daydreaming. And that's a horrible way to live.
Well, I think you could take it even one step further. I don't think people are so much daydreaming, but they're watching individuals like you live their dreams through social media.
Well, dude, and that's the biggest thing too for daydreaming. This is a real statistic. The guy that I worked with, he's a neuroscientist, and he said, dude, if you could literally see people, they are 50% of their whole day is daydreaming. The reason being is because of things like social media that show us something, and we automatically, rather than saying, how did they do it and I want to get it, they go, oh man, it must be nice. What would it be like to have that life? When in all reality, what they should be doing is, fuck, I want that life. How do I get it? You know what? I'm going to reach out to that person and I'm going to ask them and I'm going to pay them to show me how to get that which they dreamed that they made a reality. How do I make it a reality?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the biggest problem that we're running into. I get out of high school and I go, oh, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to spend money. Someone can educate me on some things that hopefully get me to where I want to be without any vision, without any execution. We just go, oh, I don't know. This is what I'm supposed to do. But we should flip all of that. We should say, this is what I want, this is what I dream, and I'm going to do what it takes to get what I dream. And by then I get my vision, and then I execute on it, you know?
For sure. Well, I think our society has flip-flopped over the past decade, ever since social media. I feel like a lot of people had the mindset and the effort of execution. Like, we know a lot of people, like our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, they bust their ass every single day. But they didn't have the dream side of it.
Exactly, dude. That's the piece. Like, and that's, again, it's funny you say that. That's the other part of my speech, right? Yeah. Is like, dude, a lot of you guys are executing.
Yep.
Every 9-to-5er is an executioner.
Yes.
Like, I get up, I go to work, I come home, and I execute every single day.
Yep.
And then you go, yeah, but where are your dreams?
Yeah.
Where is the dream that you had? And instead of the dreaming, you go to the daydreaming while you execute on things you have no reason to execute on. So then I go back and I say, so dude, if you don't have dreams and you don't execute, you'll never get there. But if you execute and you don't have dreams, you have to have both. So I tell people, like, that's the recipe. Dream, get a vision, and then execute it. You do those three things every day without the fact knowing that I'm going to give up as soon as a deterrent comes. You just say, oh, it's just another hurdle, another hurdle, another hurdle, another hurdle. What makes a good entrepreneur is someone who says, I jump hurdles. That's what I do for a living. Something comes, I jump it. Something comes, I jump it. You can't put anything in my path that will stop me. It will slow me down, but it will not stop me.
Well, and I think the audience needs to know, like, whoever listens to this, like, I get to sit down with you every week and you share with me the problems and challenges that you face, like, that aren't really much different than the things that I go through. It's just on a different level in a lot of ways. It's like you talked about, we came home from our trip from New Jersey and your pool is broken. It cracked. And it's like $400,000 to fix it. I'm like, Keaton probably makes all this money. He could probably write a check tomorrow. Yeah, but that still deters. It's going to take 6 months for him to get it fixed. Yeah. So whether he has the money to do it or not is not the point. He still has to go through those life challenges. And you brought up, we talked about Ed Milet before this and how he reached out to you and was checking in on you. And he talked about how he was struggling today. Yeah. And it's just like these people like yourselves and people that are living this higher level, like the only difference I see with the 90, Ed Milet talks about this, the 95% compared to the 5%. The 5% of the ones that have dreams and execute, the 95% of the people that either have one or the other, and they're not able to combine it. And so I think it's really cool to see those real life problems that yourself have, Ed Milet, to realize like, man, I can be just like them, and I can just apply the tools they're doing. I can have whatever I want just like they do.
100%.
So I guess my next question, like how, so if you do this often, like, I got a lot of people that I see on social media and just in general that are like young kids that want to get into real estate. Mm-hmm. My employee, Louis Otero, that you got to spend time with, was the same way. He's like, so what advice would you give a 19-year-old that is wanting to get into real estate and is wanting to use that as their stepping stool to creating wealth?
So number one, my first piece of advice for anybody asking me like, how do I create wealth? Most of the time it's real estate. The reason I share that with them is because real estate makes more millionaires than any other industry, right? So if you're going to pick something and you're looking for something to pick, why wouldn't you pick the thing that makes the most people rich? It makes sense, right? So even though that's what this podcast is, and even that's what we're talking about, that's one of the first things I tell an aspiring young kid who's like, well, I don't know what to do. How do I become rich? Well, let me tell you. Your percentage of becoming a millionaire as a real estate guy is much higher than anything else. So that would be number one. Number two, dude, what's so crazy is you don't have to be very qualified at all to get into real estate. And you don't have to have anything to get into real estate. I mean, dude, my first real estate deal outside of my own homes is flipping a house in Salt Lake where I had no money down, no contractor experience. I wasn't a real estate agent. I had nothing, and I flipped a house. And here's the craziest part. I flipped a house when the economy went from here to here because it took a shit.
Yeah.
And I still made money. Now, I didn't make nearly what I wanted to make, but that didn't matter.
Yeah.
What the purpose of it is to say, I have no money, no experience, no certification, and I'm going in to flip a house. So again, dude, you look at some young kid and you're like, dude, listen, you don't need requirements, you don't need certifications, you don't even need money, you don't even need experience. You literally can get into real estate, and obviously there's 50 arms in real estate, right? And you can become a multi-millionaire in a matter of a few years, especially if you bust your ass.
Yeah.
So that's what I tell young kids now, and not just because of this podcast.
Yeah.
But because like that's genuinely a real thing, dude. Like real estate's making millionaires every single. I think it's like $1,500 a day. Yeah, like, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, dude, that's why I started this. I'm like, look, wholesaling real estate, you don't need money to do it. You don't even. There's only 2 states, and I believe 2 or 3 states in the whole country where you need a real estate license to do real estate. Everywhere else, you don't need a license to do it. You just need to be able to go to a seller that's interested in selling their home, particularly at a discount, write up a purchase agreement to buy the property, and then you can then sell that contract and make tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah. The concept is extremely simple, and obviously the practice of it's a whole nother thing, but just having that mindset like that you talk about all the time, it puts into reality how you can do it and how you can scale it and be extremely successful.
100%.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so how would Limitless Society, for people that are looking to expand their mentorship and want to have this guidance and direction that I've been able to have personally, how would you say Limitless Society would help people, let's say pertaining to real estate or just people in general?
So I'll say specifically for real estate because that's what this is, right? Yeah. So specifically for people who are in real estate, the number one factor to success, and you can disagree because you're in real estate, and I'm not that much, is networking.
Yes.
100% is networking. Who you know is pretty much what you know and how much money you make. Yep. The more realtors, the more construction guys, the more hard money guys, the more people you know, period, the better you do in real estate. So what is Limitless Society? Limitless Society is a group of thousands of people that are connected every single day in an app where they get together and all of them seek success in some way or another. There are a lot of real estate guys in there, but they're not all real estate guys. Correct. Some of them are construction guys. Some of them are investors. Some of them are investees. Some of them own a business, right? So how can that benefit you? Well, it's as simple as networking, right? The number one thing for a successful person in real estate is how many hands do you shake? That's it. Brad Lee says it best, the more hands you shake, the more money you make. And that's very true in almost every single career, but it is especially true in real estate. So for a lot of people who are looking to get into real estate, the first thing you should say is, am I good at networking? And if I'm not, how do I get into a network that will allow me to get better at networking and actually network? And that's what Limitless Society is. And then on top of all of those things, you then get the opportunity to meet with me on a regular basis where you can ask questions every single week. And I'm going to teach you principles, both personally and in business, that will help you develop yourself and your business to make more money, to be a better person, to be better at networking, to do all of the things that it takes to get to where you want to be, which is successful.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, and like, look, like you said, we talked about Pace Morby earlier. Like that guy, he literally busted his ass. Like he was a construction guy for many years, made money, and then he lost a bunch of money, and then he got into real estate, was making a bunch of money. He's like, how do I build what I'm doing to create influence for other people? And now he's got his Facebook group, I think he has over 100,000 followers on it, and he just gets to pick deals, whichever one he wants to buy, and then he's helping other students. He created his Sub-2 program. Like, and that's something like that where it's like, I think he charges like $8,500 for his program. It's a drop in the bucket for the amount of millionaires that program has made. And so, yeah, networking is everything. And like I said, I'm doing this because I want people to know I've done hundreds of transactions in real estate. And I have not only my experience, but I have the experience of 75 other franchisees throughout the country where you can work with me and with Joe Homebuyer to where you can do real estate deals.
For sure.
And then the influence I get from guys like Keaton, who's been my mentor and has helped guide me to see my dreams and help see what I can actually be successful in. I wouldn't have started this podcast without you, because I'm like, well, I don't know how it's going to help me. Like you just have all these dumb questions. And you end up that being your kind of your mindset, like
it's your deterrent.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I put you, it's the chair in front of you, right? And what did I say to you? Like, fuck the chair. Move forward and do it. Dude, the podcast is going to probably take years. Like, this is something that even people that are listening, like, well, how long is this going to do? This could take years. But then one day you're going to wake up and you're going to have hundreds of thousands of people that listen to this, who listen to you, who follow you. And it's all because you said, no, this is my vision and this is what I'm going to execute on and this is the dream that I seek. And then it's going to become a reality.
Well, and that's, you talk about networking. Guys, I met Keaton at the gym. Like, if I wasn't at the gym and I didn't, like, I like talking with people, so if I didn't just go out of my way to talk to Keaton and to just learn more about him and ask for him advice on things, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Like, so you have to take that jump and you have to be willing to talk with people. And in our business, you want to know the best way to have a good mentor and to find somebody to teach you on how to be successful in real estate. Bring them a deal.
Absolutely.
Bring them a seller, and you help them, and there's thousands of dollars right there. And then there's technically a free mentorship because you're just sharing the profits on the deal.
100%, dude. I tell people all the time, if you want to really network the right way, it's not go and meet everybody. It's go and bring value to everybody.
Absolutely.
The more people you bring value to, the more money you make. Networking is this like crazy idea where I show up in this room and I shake everybody's hand and I give them my number and I say, if there's anything going on, just text me. That's not real networking. That's networking on a very, very like base level. You want to become a master, a savage at networking, walk into a room and give so much value to every single person you meet that within 24 hours they are contacting you saying, hey man, I got a deal, I want to do this, I want to do this, and I want to do this. I don't meet people anymore that within 48 hours I don't get a text from them saying, hey man, I'm ready to do this deal, let's make this happen. Absolutely. I don't. Because when I talk with people and I give them my number, it's because I'm bringing them so much value that they are begging me to do something with me. And that's really what it takes on such a better level of networking. So dude, for those guys that are listening now, they're like taking this podcast seriously and listening, like, how do I become better in real estate? Well, do that, dude. I don't know what it is. Everybody has different values, every single person. But step into a non-transactional relationship with every single person you meet and bring something to the table to say, hey, dude, you do house flipping? Dude, my neighbor is actually looking at flipping their house. I think this would be a killer. I'm going to go talk to him, and then I'm going to get with you. And they're like, who is this guy bringing me a deal? You're not going to ask for money. You're not going to ask for a commission. You're just going to do it. Because as soon as you become that person to them, guess what? Then when something else comes up, they think about you, they contact you, and then you guys do a deal.
Well, and I think even on a bigger level, you had a chance to connect with the OG of coaching, and that's Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Like, you invited him to come to your event, but it was a scheduling conflict to speak at the Limitless event in September. But then he was flying into Idaho to go up to his mansion up in Sun Valley, and you were able to provide value. I'd love for people to hear that story real quick.
So I'm a very non-transactional character, and I don't say that lightly. I mean that in every sense of the word. I don't look for transactions in any of my relationships because I think that's the better way to live. We got a call from one of Tony Robbins' teams that said, hey, we heard you guys have helicopters and we're looking to charter. And we were like, well, we don't charter because we don't charge people to fly in our helicopters. But what we would do is we would love to take Tony and his family in our Black Hawk to his house. So, of course, they were like, well, we'll let you know. And then they said they messaged us a day later and they were like, hey, we found somewhere to charter. Thank you, but no thanks. And then we got a call the next day from Tony himself. Was like, wait, I can fly in a Black Hawk? No. I want to go with these guys. So we flew out there. It was about an hour flight, which, dude, in a Black Hawk is about $800 of fuel. Fly out there. We pick him, his family up, and take them to their house. We get out of the helicopter, and Tony looks at us. He says, what do I owe you? And we're like, you don't owe us anything. We just want to spend time with you.
Yeah.
Dude, and the look on his face was like, whoa, who are these guys? So then he says, hey, come in for lunch. And I just, in my heart, I knew that the answer was he's only inviting us because he wants to offer us something for what we did for him.
Yeah.
And we were like, no. Go enjoy your family, and if there's a chance for us to spend some time when you're not with your family, we would love to. Later that night, he messaged us, and a voice message at like 1 a.m, saying how incredible it was that he met us, that he's never met people like us, and that he knows that what we are is something much greater than what most people are. And he talked about non-transactional characters. And he said specifically, I want to meet you guys again. Can you come out to my house at the end of the week? Let's have lunch at my house. Now, most people don't know, Tony Robbins to mentor is $1 million an hour.
Yeah.
He had us to lunch at his house with just us for 3 hours. We flew out there in my helicopter. Our Black Hawk didn't work. We flew out in my helicopter, picked him up, had lunch, flew him to his plane. And then, dude, after that, he messaged us and said, hey, guys, so here's what I want to do. You guys came, you showed up. He's like, I didn't even know you were famous. He knew nothing about us. But what you showed to me was a non-transactional character, and I like to surround myself with those kinds of people. So he says that to us. He says, I want to repay you by having you come to my next event and be my guest. I want you to come to my Fiji resort on me, and then I want to have more time with you. So how can we do some stuff? And dude, it was incredible. Point being is when I met with him, I made it very apparent that we were non-transactional. I could have asked him for money. I could have asked him for time. I could have asked him for a million things. We didn't really ask him for anything.
Yeah.
We just spent time with him. And he realized real quickly, these dudes who are famous, who have money, who showed up to help me when I needed help, didn't ask for anything, and they're never going to ask for anything. Those are the kinds of people I want to spend time with. They're non-transactional characters, and then we created a relationship. And that's how I do everything in all of my relationships, in all of my quote-unquote networking, is we show up and we just provide value without asking tit for tat here. Well, if I do this, then you owe me this. And that has served me better than I think anything else I've ever done.
No, absolutely. And like we're successful in our own respects, but I can say that for both of us, if we didn't take that non-transactional approach, which I'm fortunate that that's how I've approached everything, is like, how can I provide value for somebody else? Like the guys that got me into real estate, like I have everything to give to them because I work for them, but then they helped me build my company and build my franchise, and you've helped me build me in so many ways. And you did it even before I started paying for your mentorship. And so that was non-transactional. You didn't even know me that well.
Yeah.
So that mindset is so key. So guys, focus on being non-transactional, focus on how you can provide value for others, and it's really going to bring so much value to you. Well, Keaton, I'm so grateful you took the time to sit down with me. You're not only my mentor, but you're a great friend, and I really appreciate all you do. And I know the message you shared on here is going to benefit many people. So
Thanks, buddy. I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to be able to have this the beginning of your podcast.
Yeah.
It's going to blow up. It'll be really big.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I know it's going to happen. I'm putting in I got the dream and I'm executing, so it's going to happen.
I love it, dude.
Thank you.